worked with some great players. You know, some of the lads at Liverpool, you know, the lads I played with. You know, you think of another one that's never deemed... Liverpool supporters don't talk about him as a great player. Ronnie Whelan was a great player. I mean, Rushy was a great player, obviously. But that's an easy judgment because of the amount of games he played, the amount of goals he scored. So there's lots of lads there. I think, you know, I had a guy called David Cooper. If you just talk raw ability, David Cooper would be up there. I had a guy called Two Guy, if you remember Two Guy, just in terms of... We never played a game at Blackburn where after the game, there wasn't a member of their coaching staff said, where did you get him from? What's up? You know, talking about Two Guy, what a sensational player he was. But I think the player with the most out-and-out ability, ridiculous ability, has to be Tiz. I mean, he'd be a dream in the modern game, you know, just off the front, on the surfaces the way they are now. I think just for raw ability, and he had a picture in his head, and he had every single club in his bag. You know, he could fade it, he could draw it, he could anything he wanted. You know, he could ping it, no back lift. Sensational technique.
Well, you say you had some fabulous players at Liverpool. I'm not saying that you have regrets, but when you look back at your glittering career as player and manager, was it hard for you to accept that you weren't winning there?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, that was a job I think I was always going to be offered. I think I took it at the wrong time, and there's no doubt about it. You got to remember, you know, I laugh at the young manager Pochettino. I'm not sure, was he mid-40s? I got the Liverpool job when I was 30. I think I was 38 years old. You know, and I'd had the 5 years at Rangers that had gone really, really well for me. I'd had tremendous support, first from David Holmes, then David Murray. And I was running the show there, and it went very, very well. And then I was offered the Liverpool job twice, and I said no to it twice. And then ultimately said yes to it. And I thought I'll go in there and I'll change it, and I'll, you know, it's a club that I just love playing for.
When you spoke about changing it, what do you mean by that in terms of changing? Because you did make a lot of change in terms of the personnel and the players. What was your idea in terms of what needed changing?
Well, improving. I mean, the one thing I learnt when I went to Italy, there was no real change in how the game should be played, but certainly how players look after themselves. I mean, I was certainly one of the chaps when, you know, it came to enjoying themselves. And I tried to change that, and it was very easy when I went to Liverpool to change that, because that was a team that hadn't won the league for 9 years. So they were, you know, I'm saying, this is what we're going to do, this is what we'll do after the game.
You mean that's at Rangers? Yeah,
it was very easy. They bought into it immediately, because they were young boys that hadn't had success. So then, when I go to Liverpool and say, look, I don't want us eating fish and chips after the game. I don't want us having cases of lager under the bus, so we drink it on the way back. And the response you would get was, well, we've always done that. And it was very hard for me to argue that point, because I'd been part of that culture. But I just think there's no doubt about it. I made many mistakes, and I think my biggest crime was trying to do it too quickly. Make the changes too quickly.
Listen, I was only a kid at the time, but I imagine you don't realise how young you were as the manager. And did it make it harder going into the job because you were actually... your teammates you'd enjoyed so much success with, so you're having to leave players out? I remember you brought David James, Bruce Grobbelaar as your keeper, you had to leave him out, Dean Saunders Ian Rush. Was that a problem?
Yeah, I can remember... one of the biggest mistakes I made, Peter Robinson paid me an enormous... He ran the show, he was the chief exec, secretary, but really chief exec, made all the decisions. He said to me, do you want to do the contracts? Now, I'd done the contracts at Rangers. So I said, yeah, I'll do those. And that was a monster mistake, because I can remember one incident. We signed Dean Saunders, Mark Wright, and they had gone on to whatever they were earning, slightly more than what Rushy and Ronnie Whelan. And I remember Rushy knocking on the door and said, you're going to have to give me more money. And I said, well, I understand why you're saying that. I said, but, you know, the money's just sneaking up and sneaking up. They've come on big transfer fees. That's why they're getting more money than you. He said, but everything I've done for this club... Now, that might have been a Wednesday or a Thursday. I'm having to say to Rushy, well, that's the way it is. I'm sorry, I can't. That's the way it is. And then on a Saturday, put my arm around him at 2:45 and say, no, make sure you give me everything now. So that was an obvious mistake I made in agreeing to do that. But, you know, Liverpool Football Club will always be certainly the place to look back on where I enjoyed, in terms of playing, it was just unique. You know, the dressing room. Okay, you've heard me say it many times. If you're winning every week, it's very easy to have a great dressing room. But we went through. It wasn't always winning games. We did have hiccups, although they didn't last for too long. But we had a real bond there. And then Liverpool will always be a very, very special place for me. And obviously, there's other things happened there when I was manager, which I deeply regret. But I can't turn the clock back. And how I wish I could, but I can't. And it hurts me badly that I'm perceived by some people to be something I'm not.